Good afternoon to all of you who are here. Thanks for joining us. Hey, my name is Jessie. I am with Decker Truck Line, and we are talking about this year's 2019 CVSA Driver Week focuses. Focus. Focus this year is on speeding, and the theme is late won't kill you, driving well. Late won't kill you, speeding will. So that's the focus, that's the theme for this year's 2019 CVSA Driver Week. And even though speeding's a theme, that's what we're trying to avoid, obviously, but they're looking at all dangerous behaviors, all dangerous driving behaviors. So whether it's following too close, lane changes, erratic lane changes, reckless driving, not wearing your seatbelt, texting while driving, anything like that, they are keeping their eyes open for it. You're going to get ticketed. You could get a warning. That's the discussion. So what is worse? And you tell me, what is worse? Getting a warning or being ticketed for it? And then I want to know why. You might think it's a stupid question. I really don't think it is. We were talking about it yesterday, and I think that, well, I'll let you guys decide first. I'll give you a few minutes and warn you. In the meantime, if you have any questions, please put in the chat. We'll answer it as soon as possible. Anna's online already. Good morning, Anna. It's morning my time, by the way. So I still have another hour before afternoon. So Anna's on. She'll be helping to answer any questions that you have, and she'll be keeping the chat going with additional information as well as myself, so answering any questions that you might have that you're leaving in the chat. Now, there will be a replay, so if you are not watching this at noon Central on the 9th of July, 2019, then you're watching the replay. Go ahead and leave the comment in the chat. We'll get back to you. We'll still answer you. It just wouldn't be live. Anything else? Oh, if you want to talk to one of our recruiters here at Decker Truck Line, you can always give them a call at 888-668-0698. You can reach any of them at that number. You can also apply direct online at drivedecker.com, which, by the way, we will give you some additional details on some of the available positions. We'll do that a little bit later on. But for now, let's talk about, we came here to talk about the CVSA's Driver Focus Week. So, hey, Jackie, good to see you, sir. All right, so focus of the week, focus of the year, for the week of July 14th through the 20th. So you have a week to prepare to make sure that you're not a little lead foot or anything like that. But the focus is speeding. Let's avoid it. Let's know what the speed limit is and stay legal. So that's the focus. Did you guys know that 94% of all of the traffic accidents, traffic crashes were in 2018. Was it 2018 or 2017? All were actually speeding related. Hi, Todd. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. So you could get a warning, you could get a citation. My question to you is, what's worse, a warning or an actual ticket? I want to know what's that. Drivers engaged in unsafe driving behavior will be pulled over by law enforcement, and you'll either get one or the other, the warning or the ticket, the citation or the warning. Last year, I got to double check my numbers here. Both suck, exactly. So just obey the rules, right? All right, so I want to double check. Yes, so I was going to say, last year's Safe Driving Week, there were 16,900, well, a little over 16,900 that were vehicles, passenger vehicles that were pulled over. Okay, 1,900, just a hair over 1,900, were pulled over, were commercial vehicles. So a huge difference in the percentage there, absolutely huge. But those were all received speeding citations. So every single one of them actually received a speeding ticket. There you go. There's the number, 16,909 for passenger vehicles, 1,900 for commercial vehicles, and they were all issued tickets for speeding last year. 17 commercial vehicles and over 700 passenger vehicles were cited for driving too fast for conditions. Now, what is driving too fast for conditions? That's really a judgment call on the officer or by the officer themselves. You can get a driving too fast for conditions in dry, really dry, I'm looking out the window, sorry, dry, inclement weather. You can get it in rain, snow, whatever. I mean, you can get it in pretty much anything, is my point. What determines whether or not you're driving too fast for conditions is whether or not you are in control of the vehicle and you're maintaining the rules. So if you are driving the speed limit, but you're hitting a cone in a construction zone, you're probably driving too fast for conditions. If you fail to maintain your lane, which you're probably going to failure to maintain lane, but again, judgment call. If you fail to maintain your lane because somebody merged in front of you, like how I changed my word there, merged in front of you a little faster than you expected, or you had to merge in front of them faster than expected, that could be driving too fast for conditions. So again, that's more of a judgment call based off of how you're handling the vehicle itself and how the officer reads that. But driving too fast for conditions, speeding, those are all things that they're going to be looking at. And like I said, the focus is on speeding because over a quarter of all crashes in the US are related to speeding incidents. So they're later ticketed for speeding because of those. And well, some of them aren't ticketed, period, because some of them lose their lives because of the speeding themselves. So that kind of went dark, but truth is, in 2017, over 9,000, actually it's closer to 10,000 because about 9,700 lives were lost due to the fatalities involving crashes that were contributed, or the speeding contributed to. So 9,700 lives just in 2017. That's over a quarter of the actual crashes were speeding contributed. Amazing, but sad facts there. Statistics. So Todd says both when it comes to what's worse, a speeding ticket or a warning. So you didn't give your reasoning though. You're supposed to give me your reasoning. My take is warnings, they suck, but you can't fight a warning. That's one bad. You can't fight a warning. Good morning, Amy. But you can, but at the same time, warning, is it more like a slap on the wrist? Is it true punishment? Or do you learn, or do you learn from it? That's right, Todd. Yeah, they both go on your CSA score. Once they're on your CSA score, you can't remove them off the PSP. You can get them removed off of your MVR. And I think that's where a lot of people are confused. Your MVR, your motor vehicle record, is different than your PSP or CSA. Your PSP stands for Pre-Employment Screening Program. Your CSA is what your CSA and PSP, they're like this. They're the same thing. So anything that you were pulled over for, whether it be having an inspection, or if you were ticketed by a DOT officer of any sort, those are all going to go on your PSP. All of that is going to be on your PSP. If you were in town and you were pulled over by a cop, then it's most likely that it's not going to be on your PSP or your CSA score. Okay, so that's going to be more of the difference. Well, if it's on your MVR, you can go to court and you can fight something like that, but you can't get it taken off of your PSP. And the insurance is looking at what is on your PSP or your CSA points, your CSA report. So, and a lot of people don't realize that you've got both. And it's becoming more and more of the norm now. But when it first started, when it first was supposed to start back in 2009 and then 2010, and then it moved on to 2013 as we were, gradually getting into, adapting to this CSA score. Now it's pretty much second nature with everybody, but there is a difference between your MVR and your PSP. There we go, long explanation. But Todd, you're absolutely right. They go on both. So they can, and the points are going to go on both. So any distracted driving, we talked a lot about distracted driving back in April, but distracted driving is another dangerous driving behavior, and they're still looking at that. So if you are doing more on your phone, your handheld device, or down with your radio, your XM, your CB, whatever it is, if you're messing with something, then that is distracted driving. You could be eating, you could be talking or just looking in the wrong direction. All distracted driving. 3 different types of distracted driving. You've got manual, you've got, distractions, I should say, cognitive, manual, visual. If you're doing texting, or if you're working with the radio and trying to find the channel that you're wanting, if you're doing either one of those, then you're doing all 3, which is going to be that much harder. So not only are you physically looking away, your hands are elsewhere, or at least a hand, and you're thinking about it. You're thinking, okay, so what is it that I want to listen to? Or what is it, how am I responding to this individual? Now, even if you're texting with your Bluetooth and you're saying it, you still have cognitive, and usually, your manual, you're probably okay, but really anything is going to take your eyes away from the road temporarily. Even if your eyes are still on the road, but when you're thinking, you just kind of go blind for a moment while you're thinking. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody else. It makes sense to me because I can picture myself doing that. And actually, okay, so if I'm trying to think of something, I'm kind of looking up in the air. You probably see me doing quite a bit, but I'm either looking left or right on what it is that I was trying to think of. And that's probably what you're doing when you're responding to somebody on text, or when you're actually on the phone with them, or if you're talking to somebody, a passenger. So you've got visual distractions. Your eyes are focused away from the road. And even if it's just a road sign that you're just temporarily looking away. Manual distractions, where your hands are dealing with something else. You could be grabbing a drink, really anything. If you are a smoker and you're lighting a cigarette, things like that. They can be huge distractions. Makeup, on their makeup while they're driving, not sure why, but texting involves all 3 types of distractions. Absolutely. That's exactly right. And for the most part, people recognize that texting or doing anything while you're driving is a no-no, is something that you shouldn't be doing. But in the same sense, over third of those people are still, so they recognize that you shouldn't do that it's dangerous, and there's a good chance that you'll have an accident and that you could die. But a third of those people that recognize that, they're still doing it. Amy says, listening to you guys now over the radio in a parking lot. So there you go, sitting still. No reaching, no holding anything with steering wheel. That's right. No dialing, no texting, no reading. There are audiobooks, so you can do that. Still a bit cognitive there, but just 1 second of attention it takes to change your life or to end the life of someone. So think about it. If you are, speaking of distracted driving, if you are going down the road and you are following someone at a 3-second distance, and then all of a sudden you look away and then you turn your head again, all of a sudden you could be at a less. You just briefly turn your head, takes a second or two to turn back, and you may not be able to react. It is distracted driving, and you aren't doing anything out of the norm. You aren't doing anything that you necessarily should be ashamed of, because you do need to know your surroundings. But you also need to have the habit of quickly getting your eyes back to the road so that your full attention can be, or as as much attention as possible is on the road. So the reason I bring that up is because we have our smart drive system in our trucks, and our smart drive system is a way of reading your driving habits, whether they're good or bad. It reads your driving habits, and it is there to help teach or coach you into improving your driving habits if they are lacking for that case. So we've got a lot of veteran drivers here at Decker, and they do a fantastic job for us. But we have recognized, and they've recognized as well, that that smart drive system that we now have in our trucks, and we've had for over a year, has really helped to improve their safety standards and their driving habits. So they're giving a little bit more distance between cars. They're not hard braking as much. And some of that was due, so some of that was due to, I'm trying to think, you know, when you train an animal, or you're training a child, or you are training in anything for that matter, if you have a bad experience, it's going to, it really is going to turn you away from doing that again. So what I mean by that is, I'm trying to give an example here. If you're going down the road and you all of a sudden somebody cuts you off, and then your truck hard brakes, and your brakes because of the smart drive system in the truck, or because of the safety features that are in the truck, then you're going to recognize your surroundings a little bit more the next time, because you're going to be aware that there are others out on the road, and there's a good chance that you're going to need to brake. So in that same instance, if you were to be in an accident and you're driving down the road, maybe you pull out into, and I'm talking about whether you're talking about commercial driving or passenger vehicles or whatever, but you start to pull away from a stoplight and you don't give it a 1 second or 2 second brief moment for those cars who have been having the green light and the yellow light to stop, but instead you start pulling out immediately, maybe you're watching the wrong one, then you might be going into the center lane, or excuse me, you might be going into the area of traffic without giving them a moment to react. And then because you're moving so quickly, they could crash into you. So where I'm going with this is, you will learn that if you were to have an accident, I'm going to use Mullen and Reserve, because Mullen and Reserve in Missoula is a really tough area. So if you were to have an accident in Mullen and Reserve in Missoula, Montana, you would then know that that is a really tough area, and that you need to wait before you pull out into traffic once your light turns green. You're going to need to give a moment's hesitation, because those who are going 45 across on Mullen and you're on Reserve, they're not quite ready to stop driving. They're going to try and get in that last second of that yellow light. You learn that quickly because you felt that pain, right? And just like if you're somewhere else where you see common accidents, or you've dealt with lane changes, if as a professional driver, you're headed down the interstate and there are lanes merging, and maybe kind of a blind side on one of these merging lanes, you've passed it before, you've seen crashes there often, you're going to remember that, and remember that you're going to need to maybe get into the other lane momentarily to allow for that merge, a safe merge for that other driver, or you're going to give yourself an additional distance between the vehicle ahead of you and your own truck in order to allow a safe merge. Does that make sense? Because they're just things that you're learning from. And with the smart drive system, we're able to learn that and avoid the accidents. So we're able to learn from our driving habits, whether they're good or bad, and then be able to adjust without having to suffer the accidents in the meantime. Okay, that was my long explanation of how it works. But I see that, and I see, and Mullinan Reserve is one that just obviously hits hard because I've seen so many accidents there, and I've had so many loved ones in those accidents that I know that's an area that I tiptoe around when it comes to driving. I'm very, very aware of my surroundings when I am there, and that's just because you learn and then you improve on it. So Anna says, managing varying speed limits can be difficult when traveling across country. There it goes. It's important to watch for speed limit changes in all areas, especially near city limits, state borders, also construction areas. But yes, absolutely, especially in those areas. And most of the speeding tickets are because you're going from the interstate speed to coming into a local area, into a more populated area. Plain or sign, the speed limit, what's it say? Sorry, my cursor's in the way. Incidents occur because of failing to reduce speed at the plane of sign. Yes, you're not slowing down fast enough. You're not reacting fast enough to the reduced speed ahead sign. So you need to be prepared. And oftentimes they're going to have an officer right there waiting for you to clock you, and especially this time. So remember, July 14th through the 20th, that is the CVSA Safe Driver Week, and focusing on the speed. And that's what we're talking about right now. So speeding creates a higher risk of being involved in a collision, reduces reaction time significantly. So make sure that you're prepared for others around you, for the speed limits, and for all the miles, basically for every mile per hour over you are on the speed limit, that's going to cause additional, actually it's going to decrease the amount of time that you have to react to it. So what do you got here? It causes wear and tear on the tractor and trailer at a faster rate. Well, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's got all kinds of goodies on here. Proper following distance can allow you to prevent almost any accidents. Leave yourself and out. Yes, don't rush. Do not rush. And that's the whole theme of everything. Just because if you are running late, you failed to plan ahead. Odds are you failed to plan ahead. And there's circumstances that happen. But late is one thing. Speeding can get you, if you're speeding, you can be ticketed, slow down even more because now you have an officer who pulled you over, and very likely they're going to keep you there for 15 or more minutes. So there you're even that much later, and it could be that much more expensive. And so now, not only do you have operations on your back as a professional driver, now you also have safety on your back as a professional driver. And you don't want that kind of publicity, right? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Oh, Anna, that's right. For all the drivers who are not speeding, we thank you very much. Great job for you guys. We do want everybody to be safe out there. We just came off of one of the most deadliest weekends of the year, July 4th. July 4th is a very dangerous weekend. You've got tractors and trailers and RVs and literally tractors and so many passenger vehicles that are out there, and a lot of drunk driving, a lot of distracted driving. And just accidents like crazy. People are speeding. They can't wait to get out of there. They want to get away from all of the additional traffic. So tons of distractions, tons of dangerous driving behaviors. And then we're moving 2 weeks later 10 days later, I guess, into the CVSA Driver Week or Safe Driver Focus Week. And we're talking about speeding. So don't forget the other driving behaviors and make sure that you're safe with those too. But we're coming off of a very dangerous weekend. The summer, the year itself can be very dangerous. So don't let down your guard. Continue to know your surroundings and to be safe. Oh, great example. Anna says to remember that traveling at 60 miles per hour, a fully loaded tractor and trailer will need approximately 370 feet to stop, which is more than a football field. Absolutely. 6 seconds is typically the approximate following distance for 60 miles per hour. We figure 7 car lengths for the following distance. You've got 7 car lengths for following distance. You've got 10 seconds for merging or for turning into the lane, 3 seconds of blinker, and take 10, right? 3 seconds of blinker, 7 seconds to merge. That's right. Yeah, insane amounts of statistics, or insane numbers for the statistics on driving and speeding citations. 57,000. Okay, so Anna says during last year's operationals, 57,000 citations were issued for passenger and for both passenger and commercial vehicles. That's a huge number. And of those 57,000, right? 57, I was trying to read the citations. Of those 57,000, you've got 42,000 commercial vehicle contacts were made, and 10,000, well, almost 11,000 citations were given, with 71,000 passenger vehicles being pulled over, and obviously most of them actually getting warnings. But actually, with the passenger vehicles, 46,000, so over half were cited, versus our professional drivers, thank goodness, which was about a fifth. One way to do this is to be aware of the open scales and ports of entry. Oh, I missed you here. Bypassing a scale can be a result, or can result in 15 unsafe driving CSA points. It's extremely important that we all work together to avoid CSA violations. That's right. And one way to avoid that is to be aware of the open scales and the port of entries. Anytime you're unsure of it, you need to be able to, you should be, let's see, you should pull in and be safe. Just be careful. Be aware of open scales and port of entry. There you go. Thanks, Anna. That's right. Oh, and that is so correct. And here at Decker, you get $50 for every violation-free inspection. So do a proper pre-trip, know where you're at, and then get an extra $50 in the meantime, right? You know, and being ticketed for something, going back to what we were talking about before, being ticketed for something really makes you more aware, because that is it's a pain point. You know, just like you see accidents constantly. I see lots of accidents here, so I'm going to learn from that. I was ticketed. I'm going to learn from that. If you were warned, are you going to learn from that? According to Todd, it's going to be the same, because, well, for him, because he recognizes that you are penalized equally for that, well, with the exception of maybe the monetary penalization. But if you were ticketed, or if you were warned, excuse me, if you were warned instead of ticketed and you didn't have that financial responsibility to follow up, would you learn? I think everybody's a little bit different. With the campaign, the Click It and Ticket campaign, Click It or Ticket, you know, the seatbelt campaign, they did discover that once that was in effect, the Click It or Ticket, and you had to wear your seatbelt, that more people were then wearing their seatbelts. There were fewer accidents that people weren't wearing their seatbelts. There were fewer tickets, not necessarily tickets because we weren't being ticketed, but fewer. I'm trying to think of the actual number. There was a 28% less than, I'm trying to think, a point decline in the actual number of crashes, period, because they were more aware of it. And there was obviously an increase in the tickets, because then we started ticketing for it. William says, so Anna was saying, don't use your headsets to talk. Why they were made, so we can talk and drive, so you're holding your phone up. I thought she said, use your headsets. Give me a sec. I'm gonna scroll back here. Yep, you want to use your headset. I'm still looking for this, by the way. You do want to use your headset, obviously, to talk, and so that you have your hands-free device. But don't be fumbling around, and make sure it's just a one-touch headset. I'm not seeing the remark, but I know she had one on here. I thought she said to use your headset. It's got to be up here. Sending a text. I don't see it, but I'm sure it's up here. Sorry, William. But yes, you're right. Use your headset. Anna says, "Oh, I meant to not make a call if you don't have to. Avoid the distractions." All right, I should just follow it up. So yes, yeah. If you don't have to make the call, don't be on it. It's just like a lot of you are on the call. A lot of all of us get on the phone when we're driving because you might think it keeps you awake, might keep you more alert, but in reality, it's going to take away from your alertness. You're better off stopping and taking a nap than you are to get on the phone because you're exhausted, or have more caffeine because you're exhausted, or start eating because you're exhausted, or rolling down the window or turning up the radio. I mean, instead of doing all of those, taking a nap is really going to give you the best results and the best it's going to improve your reaction time instead of allowing it to slow down because you're exhausted. And, and then you're not going to have that distraction either, whether it be the cognitive or the visual or the manual. So avoid distractions. That's right. Take individual responsibility for the safety of others and yourselves. Embrace the technology. Embrace it, but don't rely on it. And the programs to help improve your safety. So like a smart drive and our lane departure. But at the same time, don't rely on it because they are there not to penalize you. They are there to help you to recognize your driving habits and to improve on them so that you don't need to rely on them. So give yourself proper following distance. Working under the idea that he who stops being better stops being good. Decker continues to strive for improvement in all aspects of operation. Yes, and driver fatigue. Yes, this is a great one, Anna. Driver fatigue causes thousands of road accidents each year. A quarter of the fatal. That's again near a quarter of the fatal serious accidents are from fatigue. So you've got a quarter of the accidents of the fatal accidents are caused by speeding, and then you've got a quarter that are caused by fatigue. So right there, half of those accidents, if you recognize those and are aware of those, that covers at least half of the accidents that are out there on the road. So please be safe. Please be safe. Yes, and then of course, we've got Patrice's famous quote, "A superior driver never allows a situation to deteriorate to the point that the superior driving skills become a necessity." And yeah, why test yourself on a regular basis? Why to see if you're gonna make it? See how good you are when so much is at risk. Your life, the load, someone else's life, several's life, a ticket, anything like that, being late. All of this is happening 14th through the 20th. So next week is the CVSA driver, Safe Driver Week. So be aware of all of that. Okay. All right. Am I missing anything on that one? Oh, there was a quote that I wanted to read to you guys. There we go. So it's the CVSA president. I knew I had it written down on here. So the CVSA president, Chief Jay Thompson with the Arkansas Highway Police, he says, "For more than 2 decades, speeding has been involved in nearly 1/3 of all motor vehicle fatalities." 1/3. I know we already said it. Still a point. "That is absolutely unacceptable," he says, "especially because it's preventable. We will continue to educate the public on dangers of speeding, and we will identify individuals who are speeding on our roadways and may issue citations as a deterrent to future speeding tendencies and to affect driver behavior." See, he thinks that it deters. He thinks that if you are ticketed. You're going to, absolutely. All right, I thank you guys for joining me today. Let's talk about some of the driving positions that we've got available here at Decker. So one thing that I want to kick off with is the available position, upper position. First off, foremost, if you have any questions whatsoever on any of these positions, you can get a hold of one of the recruiters. If you don't leave the comment here, then get a hold, call them at 888-668-0698. You can also apply directly online at drivedecker.com and fill out the application. Just let us know what position you're looking for. But when you are talking to one of our recruiters, is to make sure that we're going to be, this is a question that we got on YouTube earlier this, when, you know, are you just trying to sell us? Are you just trying to get us in the door and lie to us? And then once we're there, not fulfill it. And that's not what our job is. Our job as a recruiter is to make sure that we're going to be a good fit for you and that you're going to be a good fit for us for the position that we have available, and or positions depending on where you live. So our goal is to first identify what you're looking for. What are your expectations? What do you want from a company, from a driving position or a career? What is it that you want? Are you looking for a specific amount of home time? Are you looking for a specific amount of miles? Or do you need a certain amount of income in order to make it? And that's what you've been struggling to find. We need to know what it is that you want, what your expectations are. And that's going to be one of our first questions to you. And that's what we hope you're going to answer for us right away. Because without knowing that, I don't know if I'm going to be a good fit for you. I don't know if we're going to have the right position for you. We do have some awesome opportunities. Don't get me wrong, but they're not in all the areas, and they're not necessarily for everybody. Just because I have a dedicated position, a fairly local dedicated position that gets you home nightly, and it runs from Fort Dodge, Iowa to Blair, Nebraska, and gets you back and forth every day, doesn't necessarily mean that that's what you're looking for. It might not make the amount that you need to make on a weekly basis. Maybe you are willing to stay out a couple more days in order to guarantee a higher income. Well, if that's the case, then you might be needing to check out our Midwest guaranteed pay for our flatbed, or Midwest guaranteed pay for our refrigerated, if that is in fact the case. Maybe the rotation isn't right, because with the hopper position that goes from Fort Dodge to Blair, Nebraska, it's 2 days on and 2 days off, and then 3 days on and 3 days off, and then back to that 2 on, 2 off rotation. So maybe that schedule doesn't work for you, and you have to have all the weekends off. If that's the case, then again, you're going to need to get on either one of the guaranteed pays or one of our regional positions. But without knowing what it is that you're looking for, we won't know for sure. So our job is, we have a theme, our slogan, I guess, is driven to be the best. Driven to be the best is in several different scenarios. As a driver, our professional drivers are driven to be the best out there on the road. As our mechanics, we are driven to be the best mechanics and the best service providers that our professional drivers need and get. We're driven to be the best there. In our operations department, we are driven to be the best fleet managers that we can provide. The best fleet managers that you've ever seen, and giving you the miles that you need and the home time you need, and making sure that we are there and we are supporting you. We are your advocates. We are driven to be the best as the recruiters for Decker Truck Line. We're driven to be the best by making sure that we are giving you all of the information that you needed to make the decision on whether or not this is the right company for you or this is the right position for you. Making sure that we have provided you everything that you need. I mean, our theme, our slogan of driven to be the best is really everybody in all of our departments and within the whole company, whether it's a dedicated driver on Cargill, or if it's a over-the-road driver out of Missoula, Montana, or flatbed out of Bessemer, Alabama. Our job is to be the best for our customers, for our individuals, for our families, and for our family here at Decker. So we won't know if we are doing the best for you or if we will be the best fit for you until you tell me what you're looking for. So that's going to be, as a recruiter, that's going to be the first question that I need to know from you. And then at that point, you go ahead, you start telling me some more information on what it is that you're needing, so that I know all of your expectations. I can tell you what we've got available out of your area, and what different positions we have. And then you can decide, is one of those going to be, or are those going to fit my mold and what I need for my family, for myself. That's going to be the best way. But anyways, to answer that question that I received earlier this morning on how we hire, our goal is to first and foremost make sure that we're a good fit for you. And then whatever we told you, which is based off of availability and flat out, this is black and white, whatever we told you, our job is then at that point to follow through and make sure that we live up to all of those standards that we gave you. So I hope that answers your question. Decker has freight that goes everywhere. It doesn't always flow the same lane. So we run most of the 48 continental states. That's true. But again, it depends on where you live on whether or not you're going to be in the hiring area, because some areas are, obviously we have more consistent freight out of, and therefore we can get you home more often than others, and so for the most part. And most enjoy that because it's a pre-planned, consistent, and the wheels keep turning. That's the right. We keep moving. And our goal, that's right, Anna. I like the way you wrote that. Our goal is to protect the lives and welfare of our team, all the team members, and the general public that live and play in our workplace. That's right. All right, so let's tell you some more about some of these open positions, okay? I did hit a little bit on that hopper position out of Fort Dodge. You do need to live within about 50-mile radius of Fort Dodge, Iowa, in order to be eligible for that one. And you're running back and forth with that hopper to Blair, Nebraska. It's 2 days on, 2 days off, 3 days on, 3 days off. Now, there's 3 different shifts that I currently have available. I have a 5 p.m. start, and figure that these shifts run about 8 hours. So approximately 8 hours. And you're going to get one load. It's usually one load there, and then a backhaul, and then possibly another one. But it's usually one load there and then a backhaul. It just depends on the freight that we've got. So there is also an 8 p.m. shift that is available, and an 11 p.m. shift that is available. So if you're looking to start 5 p.m., so it's a lot of night driving for these shifts, 5 p.m., 8 p.m., and 11 p.m. So those are the start times. You'll be coming home the next morning. So, and they're perfect. Anna went ahead and provided you with the link to the YouTube video. Have you guys subscribed to our YouTube channel? Because if you haven't, you should probably do that. Of course, like the videos if that's in fact what you are looking for, or if you want to share it, if you know somebody who is looking for that position, go ahead and share that with them as well. But yes, make sure that you subscribe to us so that you'll know every time that we go live, and that way we can give you more information on available positions that we have, additional updates here within the company as well. So what else? Follow us on Facebook too. I'm just going to throw that out there. Follow us on Facebook, because every Monday at 4 p.m. Central, we do a live Q&A. Gives you an opportunity to ask questions and be right there. Okay. All right. So Wyatt, just subscribe. Thank you for the reminder. It's about time, Wyatt. Jeez Louise. All right. So I wanted to go over the Midwest van. Lester Brody, everything about your company is I don't know what is all out there. You'll have to share that with me. Okay, so some of the different positions that we've got available right there are the Midwest van that runs from basically Lincoln, Nebraska to Chicago, Illinois, and runs back and forth. It's usually home on a weekly basis if you live along I-80 there, or if you live in Gary, Indiana, we can get you home on a weekly basis. And that's for the Midwest van. It pays anywhere from 40 to 50 cents a mile. 10 cents of that's per diem. If you live in the Atlanta area, Atlanta, Georgia, or if you live in Anderson, South Carolina, or somewhere down there, then we do have available positions there as well. That is going to get you home about every 2 weeks instead of weekly. All right. Again, pay is 40 to 50 cents a mile, depending on your experience and you get that get paid every week, every Friday, direct deposit. Get your paperwork in by Saturday night, either TransFlow or on the TransFlow or the onboard scanner. Either one will work. In addition to our Midwest van, we also have our Midwest refrigerated, which is again 40 to 50 cents a mile to start. You do get a penny raise after 90 days and every year on your anniversary. You also have a $5,000 bonus that you can be eligible for in both the van and the refrigerated divisions, as long as you run a minimum of 110,000 miles on your 1 year anniversary. So, or by your 1 year anniversary. So 110,000 miles for both the van and the refrigerated divisions. For my flatbed, you do need to run a minimum of 100,000 miles by your 1 year anniversary to get that full $5,000. And that $5,000 is paid in one lump sum on your 1 year anniversary, and pays all out right there. Unless you're lease. If you're looking for lease, a little bit different story. The payout, we do require that you run as a company driver for 3 months first with the lease purchase. And before you transition into the lease purchase, make sure that you're successfully getting the miles and the scorecard numbers that you want to be successful with the lease purchase. And then with the, but the lease purchase is available in refrigerated and flatbed depending on your area, of course. But that $5,000 bonus, it pays out with $500 on first dispatch as a lease purchase driver or an owner operator, and $500 after 6 months, and then the remaining 4 is on your 1 year anniversary. So it gives you an idea. Great comment. Anna's right. We do realize that not every driver is a good fit for the company. Just like not every company is a good fit for every driver. So we know that the sacrifices that our drivers make, and we recognize that, and we really appreciate it. You guys do a fantastic job. I mean, we only have Driver Appreciation Week once a year within the industry, but we appreciate you guys all year round, and that's why we do all these additional bonuses, just trying to do these recognitions as well. Speaking of recognitions, we do have our scavenger hunt. And Aaron, by the way, great work. I've got some more pictures from you on the scavenger hunt, but we do have the scavenger hunt going until the 31st of July. So get in your scavenger hunt submissions to marketing@deckermail.com. We'd like to show off some of those pictures that you've been submitting. And you have a chance to win $500, $250, or $100, depending on how great your pictures are. No, how creative and accurate to the requirement of the submission form. So if you haven't seen it, check out our blog, drivedecker.com, and it'll show you thanks, Anna, there she goes, our scavenger hunt right there on our blog, drivedecker.com. There you have it. Okay, so I did want to tell you a little bit more about, we talked about Midwest flatbed, Midwest refrigerated. Don't forget, we do have guaranteed pay in both our Midwest flatbed and refrigerated, but they're more designated areas. So in the flatbed, if you live anywhere from Mason City, Iowa, to Fort Dodge, Iowa, to Chicago, Illinois, up to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, back down to Mason City and along that route, then you are in the right area for the Fort Dodge flatbed. Guaranteed pay, $13.50 a week. If you live from Omaha, this is for, hey Wyatt, this is for you. If you live from Omaha to Chicago on I-80 and along that route, then you'd be eligible for the Midwest refrigerated guaranteed pay of $12.50 a week. If you live anywhere from Sioux Falls, South Dakota to Chicago, with the exception of Mason City, with the exception of Madison, then you would be eligible again for the Midwest refrigerated, getting you home on a weekly basis and a guaranteed pay of $12.50 a week. Now that $12.50 a week, that is the guaranteed pay for the Midwest refrigerated. You do need to get 100% on-time delivery, no driver service failures, no preventable accidents. You'll need to get, all your paperwork in and be available for dispatch. Those are my requirements, or the requirements for not only the Midwest refrigerated guaranteed pay, but also the Midwest flatbed guaranteed pay and our short haul pay. Anything that's guaranteed pay, you have to have those requirements. But never fear, especially in the Midwest refrigerated, that $12.50, that's the guaranteed pay part. So you can make more than that. And the majority of our Midwest refrigerated guys, people, they are. So we love to see that. If you have questions or you're curious about it, then you just need to get a hold of one of the recruiters at 888-668-0698. Wyatt says he's waiting for a call. He's ready to answer any questions that you might have on it, because now he knows where the hiring area is. Just joking. Just kidding. Okay. So also with the Midwest Refrigerated, Kansas City has been added to that area where we can get you home on a weekly basis and you can still be part of that guaranteed pay of $12.50. So again, that's the Midwest Refrigerated guaranteed pay. Also, I hinted back on the flatbed short haul position that's based out of Fort Dodge. If you live in Fort Dodge, if you live in Omaha, Sioux Falls, Minneapolis, we do get you home multiple times a week in those locations, and that's for the Fort Dodge short haul. It's $1,000 a week, guaranteed pay. And if you want more details, get a hold of the recruiters at 888-668-0698. So depending on where you live, it's multiple times a week. So it's usually every other day. Sometimes you could get home a couple of days in a row, but it's usually every other day, but at least 3 times a week, and then home on the weekends. So hope that answers your questions on that one. What am I missing for any of the dedicateds? I think I've got all the dedicateds down. I'm gonna double check. Yeah. Oh, the local position out of Bessemer, Alabama. $17 an hour for that local position. We do require that you have flatbed experience in order to run that Bessemer local. Bessemer, Alabama. It's right outside of Birmingham, and it is our flatbed terminal. So we do have over-the-road positions available as well in that area, but we have one local position requiring flatbed experience. Where the over-the-road, we will train you. We can train you, but we need the flatbed experience for that local. Usually, preferably with coils, experience with coils. I mean, also, if you live in Alabama or if you live in Georgia, we can get you home on a weekly basis for that flatbed, the Southern Flatbed Division. So you'd be running a lot more of the Southeast and the Midwest if you're running out of Atlanta and Georgia on a weekly basis than you would if you were running coast to coast. Now, coast to coast, obviously, coast to coast. Speaking of coast to coast, if you are interested in flatbed and you live if you live in California, Oregon, or Washington, we do now hire for the flatbed division. We had a lot of requests for that. Catch there, though, is that the home time isn't as often as if you live in the Southeast or the Midwest. So if you live in Oregon, if you live in Washington, if you live in California, yes, we can now hire in those areas for our over-the-road flatbed, but expect to be out at least 4 weeks at a time. So if flatbed's what you're wanting and you've been asking for a while, then check us out, 888-668-0698. That's the big deal, is making sure that you can, that 4 weeks is going to be okay with you guys, because that's the best home time we can get for you out of those areas. What else did I want to say about that? Average length of haul is growing with that Southern Flatbed. Okay, not to confuse you, I keep saying Southern Flatbed, but it is our over-the-road flatbed. It's based out of Bessemer, Alabama, so we call it Southern because it's down in the south. Where our Midwest division is way more confined, you're running a lot shorter area, and the majority of our Midwest flatbedders are getting home on a weekly basis. Some of the outlying areas are getting home every 2 weeks. That goes the same with the Midwest Refrigerated too, to be honest with you. And then our over-the-road refrigerated based out of Missoula, Montana. We're coast to coast, and the majority of those locations are getting you home about every 2 to 3 weeks. So 14 to 17 days is the norm. Basically a day and a half home time for every 7 days you're out. If you live in Los Angeles, California, if you live in Seattle, Washington, Kennewick, Washington, or Missoula, Montana, I have one position that I can follow through on this one with, but if you live in one of those locations, we can actually get you home on a weekly basis. You'll be running a more dedicated area, more regional position than you would be if you're in the over-the-road out of Missoula and you're in another location, if you chose. But that's a preference that you get to make. I've talked to a lot of guys about it. It seems like the over-the-road out of this area is more common and more preferred, I guess. But if anybody's looking for something that's more designated in a weekly home time out of Missoula, Montana, Kennewick, Washington, Seattle, Washington, or Los Angeles, California, then give us a call at 888-668-0698. We can see what we can do for you. But the Missoula, Montana terminal, that one's going to have a lot longer length of haul, a little over 1,100 for an average length of haul. That's per haul. So remember that. Miles 27 to 3,000 is going to be the most common for weekly mileage. We've got probably our top 25% are getting 3 to 3,200 a week, but the 27 to 3,000 a week is pretty safe within the whole division consistently. So anybody have any questions on any of those? Yes, we will hire within a 50-mile radius of Missoula, Seattle, Kennewick, and Los Angeles. Absolutely. All right, three positions available for that one. I was thinking I just had one. Teams, I haven't talked about teams very often. Lately, we've had a lot of inquiries about teams and what we've got available there. So let's kind of talk about that for a moment. Our team pay is a base of 50 cents a mile, and the more miles you guys run as a team, the more pay you get per mile. So if you guys are running anywhere from 12 to 14,000 miles a month, which I realize is pretty low for a team, but we do have teams that only like to run super solo miles, then if that's what you're looking for, then you're going to be looking at about an extra 2 cents, you'll be looking at an extra 2 cents a mile on the mileage pay for the monthly bonus for the teams. Now, that's going to be 2 cents split, so 2 cents to the truck, so a penny a piece. The 50 cents is also split, so 25 cents per person, per driver. 5 cents per driver is going to be per diem, so it's not taxed. And now the extra cents per mile, that is going to be taxed, so that extra bonus will be taxed. If you're running between 14 to 16,000 miles a month, you're going to get an extra 4 cents a mile to the truck, an extra 6 cents a mile to the truck. If you're running between 16 to 18,000 miles a month, and anything over 18,000 miles a month, which is our most common for our teams, obviously, then you're going to be an extra 8 cents a mile. So 58 cents a mile is what you'd be looking at for the majority of those who are wanting team. Now, team is designated for over-the-road refrigerated division. You'd be based out of my Missoula, Montana terminal, or our Missoula, Montana terminal, and running out of there. Again, longer lengths of haul for that. We do try and get you even more consistent runs, like some of our runs that we can't do with our solo drivers because of the length and the time that's required on it. Those are often given to our teams in order to be able to make it, clearly. So we have a lot of those, a lot of bread loads. So most of our loads with the refrigerated division is no touch freight. But with our teams, they're more likely to see some touch freight, like rolling the carts on and off for our bread loads. That's pretty common. So, did anybody have any questions on our team position and how that pays? It pays the extra cents per mile. So the 50 cents a mile that goes to the truck, that's paid every Friday direct deposit. But the extra cents per mile is going to be paid the third pay period of the month following it. So again, you get paid every Friday, direct deposit. You get the third pay period, usually right around $800 to $1,100 per driver, per team driver for the bonus. Now, that being said, you can still obtain the monthly bonus, whether you're over-the-road refrigerated, over-the-road flatbed, over-the-road van. You can still qualify for a monthly bonus, which would be an extra 4 cents a mile. That's totally separate than what the mileage bonus is for the teams. So the extra 4 cents a mile is based off of our scorecard, and the scorecard is going to weigh in idle time, is going to weigh in fuel efficiency, fuel compliance, CSA point, if you got any CSA points for the month, preventable accidents, miles obviously is a factor. And so those are all, and no driver service failure. So those are all things that factor in on the scorecard, and you can actually get details on that. Oh, Anna's ahead of me there. You can get details on the scorecard on our blog if you check that out at drivedecker.com. It'll give you more details on that. So excellent. Thank you, Miss Anna. taking good care of us, answering those questions. So again, 888-668-0698 to get a hold of one of the recruiters on any of those divisions. Anything I'm missing with available positions? I think we're good. We're good on all of those. I think. Cool. Well, if you have any questions, get a hold of us, 888-668-0698, or apply at drivedecker.com so that we can give you a holler and give you some more details on it. And like I said, when we talk to you, the first part of the conversation is, what is it that you're looking for? Tell us what you want, what your expectations are, so we know whether or not we can get you there. Okay, cool. All right, you guys, thank you so much for spending some time with me this afternoon or morning, wherever you're at. And again, we're here every Tuesday at noon Central Time here on our YouTube channel, so make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss out. And on Mondays, if you follow us on our Facebook page, that will be live every Monday at 4 p.m. Central. We also have a new group, Facebook group, Trucking Support or Driving, how is that worded? Truck Driver Supports. So if you have questions and you want to reach out to some of our professional drivers out on the road, then they are a great group of people to talk to and to get to know and to learn from. So you guys can help each other out within that group. So hope you find that helpful. Thank you so much for being here with us. And again, the Safe Driving Week or Safe Driver Week is focusing on speeding, and the week is the 14th through the 20th. So this coming Monday, right? Coming Sunday. So 14th through the 20th, July 14th through the 20th. And late won't kill you, speeding will. That's the theme. That's the theme. So let's not do the theme, right? All right, you guys, as always, I hope you enjoyed this, and please remember that this is here to help you learn, help you just provide you the information that we feel that you might need, or the questions that you might need answered. But please watch this during your downtime, not while you're driving. No reason to put another distraction out there when you are trying to be safe. Thanks again, you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday.